appreciate everybody being online today. Welcome to our webinar on the new ConnectSMART version 3. My name is Dan Martin. I'm the Vice President here at ConnectSMART, and also we'll have with us today Evan Gorman, who's one of our key folks here on the ConnectSMART team. And we wanted to take a little bit of time today to give you an introduction to what we have, what is out there now in ConnectSMART for version 3. You may have seen ConnectSMART in some of the older versions. You may have started playing with V3 at this point. So whether you're a newbie or you're kind of gray around the ears, then you should be able to get something out of this today. And in addition to that, we're going to be showing you some exciting new stuff that's coming out, a little bit of a preview of some of the things that are coming out in our maintenance release, and also a little special something at the very end. So you stick around at the end, and I think you'll be really excited about what you get to see there. So let's talk about version 3. And actually, first off, let's talk about ConnectSMART. So for those of you who may not be as familiar with ConnectSMART, the idea of ConnectSMART is really a mash board. So the mash board functionality of ConnectSMART is to where you can take the piece of information that you care about and be able to leverage that into a dashboard element and put that wherever you need to on your screen. So whether you want a piece of information out of finance or out of your service or all those different areas of the system, you can take that piece of information, put it where you want. So whether you're a ConnectWise user, a TigerPaw user, soon a Kaseya user, you can take just the information that's critical to you and take advantage of it. Now let's see here. For some reason, I had a problem here with the screen sharing. See if we can see what happened here. All right. So it looks like, the screen sharing is there, but all right, so we'll go ahead and continue on. So what we're looking at right here is actually one of my dashboards, and this is the dashboard just for myself. This gives all the information that I care about for me to run my day on a daily basis. So I can see that since we're over here on this webinar, we've got 74 tickets that are open. We've got 10 new tickets today, and we've closed 4 of those tickets. I can see what are all the tickets that are assigned to me and their distribution. Customers with the last update. So some of these different pieces of data, so we can get a really good idea of what's going on at any point in time. Now, one of the things, I'm going to go ahead and bring up ConnectSMART V3. So some of you who've seen ConnectSMART in the past, this is a whole new animal. So first off, you'll notice that in the old version, we would kind of go into some of the scripts, but there are no scripts anymore. So what we are looking at in ConnectSMART is where we have taken the intelligence of ConnectSMART with all the different gadgets, all those different pieces of information that you might want to have at your fingertips, and we've put that into the toolbar inside of Power Gadgets itself. So when you want to have a dashboard, let's say we're looking at on the service side, and you want to know what your average resolution time is, all you do is simply double-click on the gadget to add it into a panel. Once it's been added into a panel, now you can customize that to really be whatever it is that you want. So if you go over to edit the parameters now, instead of going into a script file or making some kinds of, any kind of hacks into the back-end system, you can simply decide, well, what service boards do I want? What service types? Do I want to look at particular service types or maybe location? Different subtypes, all different kinds of pieces of information that you can look at. How far back am I looking for my average response time? I can change those at any point in time right in the Creator. So that gives us the ability then to have a single gadget that can be really anything we want. So if I'm going to look at this particular one, and I can go ahead and add different text. I can change the configuration of this gadget, And then all I have to do is simply save that out. And now I will have, let's drop this over here. I've just created a brand new gadget. So if I look at that folder, give me 1 second here to bring that up here. So now I double click on it, and that gadget is now, I've just created a brand new gadget. Now some of the power of ConnectSMART is, let's say that the thing that I'm focusing on is my average resolution time. So in this case, you can see I'm actually looking at a particular set of service boards. So this is our help desk. We have a 3.18 hours to resolution. The power is really being able to go beyond just seeing that one piece of information, but really to drill into it. So it's not a replacement for a reporting tool, but it's really giving you the ability to drill down to see what makes up that number. So I can then see a particular item here. We have a line of business application issue, ended up taking us 33 hours to resolve, which is going to skew up our time. But then I can simply, oops, moving that gadget there. I can simply double click on that item, and that was going to go ahead and drill right into, in this case, ConnectWise. If you're with TigerPaw and using the employee portal, you can drill right into that TigerPaw ticket as well. So now you can have the information to be able to see what's going on, deal with the issue, and move on with your life. So that's really the basic concept behind ConnectSMART. So let's take a look at a few of the new things that we have in ConnectSMART. One of the things that I'm going to go ahead and close this down. And I'm going to show you, we promised that we give you an idea of how to do this in 30 seconds or less. So I'm going to show you that dashboard that I was just looking at, which is looking at my information. So how do I run my day? How does a technician run their day of the most important pieces of information that they can use to have at a snapshot, at their fingertips, that critical data? So I'm going to go over into the personal productivity section of ConnectSMART. And what we're going to do is I want to look at my tickets. I want to look at any activities I have due today. I want to look at particular statuses. We'll come back to that. Any tickets that are due today. I want to look at any tickets that are not acknowledged. Now, in this case, I'm going to go ahead and kind of manipulate this a little bit. I'm going to drag these over. Since I'm not having any kind of parameters that are going to conflict with each other, meaning I don't have one thing looking at today and one thing looking at yesterday, or two, looking at different service boards, I can put those kinds of gadgets together into a dashboard on a single slide, like we're looking at here. So I'm going to make one little change, and in this case, I'm going to say that instead of looking at my done yets, I want to look at a particular status, which is called follow-up required. See if I have any follow-up required tickets. And I don't, but I also want to go ahead and change that title of that. So it's not looking at my done yet, and this is going to be follow-ups. All right, so at this point in time, I'm going to go ahead and just do a little bit of change for the background because I don't want this to be on, since I like to use a black background, I don't want it to be white. So I'm going to change that default from white to transparent. I'm going to take this particular gadget. I want to make this look a little bit nicer. I'm going to put that into kind of a high contrast. Again, I'm going to change this to a pure black, so it's a black background. And let's go ahead and make that as a three-dimensional item. I'm going to go ahead and save this out. And this is going to be my dashboard. Now if I go ahead and go back over, and let's go ahead and just run my dashboard. There we have, in just a matter of a couple of seconds, a dashboard that is up and running, and you can see that, goodness, a lot of new tickets have been assigned over to me that I haven't looked at yet. So now as I would be working during the day, I could simply double-click on that particular piece of information and see what is that ticket that was updated, and I can go take a look at it and fix it. So now we have that power of ConnectSMART, of the pieces of information that I need to do my job on a daily basis right at my fingertips. So a couple things that we want to make a comment on. ConnectSMART gives you, in the existing version, in this case I'm looking at the ConnectWise version. There's about 80 gadgets and about 65 in the Tiger Paw right now. And this gives us a huge number of different pieces of information. So as we're looking at service, and you can see all these different kinds of elements that are available to take action on, to drive your business, something to keep in mind is less is more. So just because you have 80 default gadgets and you can do a gadget for every different service type and all these different kinds of customization to make new gadgets, just because you have it available doesn't mean you should. So you want to keep that in mind, that you want to find that one. What is that one thing? What is that one or two things? Just like in your business, you can't focus on 300 different business units. You really need to focus on the one or two elements that are going to be driving your work. Those are the gadgets that you want to be focusing on. So, as far as things that you're working with, now from a sales standpoint, when you're letting your, when your customers are walking through and seeing those pretty dashboards throughout the office, that's a little bit, different. You can have a lot of eye candy on there, but you don't want to have too much stuff. All right, so let's go ahead and I'm going to take you over to a couple of new things, and I know I'm going through here really quickly. I'm going to be going through some new stuff here, and then we're going to go ahead and open it up so that as you have questions and there's things that you want to dig deeper into, you'll be able to do that. So I'm going to bring up a couple things on V3. So let's take a look at a couple of new items. Let me just close these out here. Oops. All right, so I went ahead and made a couple of them. So a couple things that are new that some of you might have seen on the V2.3 beta, things that were never quite released, we are now have on our maintenance release that's coming out very shortly. Some of those items such as the duty manager and who is your on-call. You have the ability to track like agreement invoicing totals. The ability, a lot of added parameters. In this case, to be able to look at, do I want to look at this for, particular business unit, for a particular location, or exclude a particular location? How far back do I want to go into the past to be able to pull in that, that agreement invoicing totals that I'm looking for? I mentioned the on-call. So that's a big thing for us. Instead of having to go look into your PSA application, it's pulling out that on-call person to have available. Something that's been a big request, the sales funnel. So you can have your sales funnel. If you're managing sales and you want to, have that availability of, a particular team, maybe it's the, your managed services team, how are they doing in their sales funnel versus your projects team or your app dev team. So the ability to build those sales funnel, or maybe just for, your star salesperson may want to keep track of their own sales funnel, so they can do that in that gadget and have it free floating as a part of their daily workforce or daily work desktop, as opposed to just being inside of their PSA application. A couple things that were missed out of our initial release of ConnectSMART V3, and we definitely heard about it, and I take complete responsibility. It was my screw up here. But we have the TNA and TNR, the tickets not responded, tickets not assigned, two of the most popular gadgets, and we found that those were missed in V3. Well, those are back in the maintenance release, so you'll be happy to know those will be working better than ever. And in addition, as you can see here, the ability to add all those different parameters. So if you want to look at the you want to ignore specific types, ignore particular statuses. Maybe you don't care about a status that's in, if it has in the triage and it hasn't been responded to yet. Or in our case, it's marked as a completed ticket and it hasn't been, it's not marked as having been responded to. The same way with that not assigned. Again, additional items in here. You can see business unit as well, boards, ticket statuses, the ability to exclude child tickets. That's a big thing. So since a child ticket never has an assignment, this allows you to find that ticket that somehow slipped through and deal with those without getting lost with with tons of child tickets, if that's something that you're leveraging in your business. We also have a lot of new sales items being added in, such as what is that gross margin that's being sold, drilling down into maybe the total revenue by salesperson to see how are your salespeople doing, how is your sales engine driving for you to be able to kind of get more out of what you're doing. So all in all, this is kind of an ugly view of it, but there's you'll see about 30 different additional gadgets being added in with the different elements like time by account managers for projects, time and materials, agreement time, ticket trending, a lot of trending information. A lot of new stuff with the SLAs, and also some this particular one, like the count of open tickets, really added in a lot of additional parameters to where if you want a count of tickets on a service board, or the counts of a particular type, counts of a particular subtype, counts of tickets by location, or any variation of those particular statuses. So really some super gadgets where just the single gadget of open tickets count, you can make that into virtually unlimited number of different gadgets that are going to give you that piece of information that's critical to you, critical to your business unit, or critical to your business as a whole to enable you to be more efficient in how you're working in your business and how you're communicating with each other and with your clients. All right, so we're almost through this first run. We've got about 6 more minutes before we go through this. And I'm going to show you a little sneak peek of, let me start this over here, the new version of ConnectSMART Mobile. So this has been I know a lot of those who are on this call wanted to know, when is ConnectSMART Mobile coming out? Saw a sneak peek of it for a few people over at the ConnectWise show. This is new for the TigerPaw folks, but wanted you to have a chance to see what is going on with the ConnectSMART Mobile. We're expecting to have this will be released at the same time as the maintenance release, because there are some critical kind of back-end functionality pieces that we've added in for security and control. You don't want people being able to leverage a cell phone and not be able to you don't want them logging in and looking at the owner's information. So a couple of architectural issues there that we've gotten taken care of, and this will be released at the same time as the maintenance release, which we're expecting should be at some point next week. So first off, you can select the device that you're using. So whether you're a BlackBerry person, a Motorola person, or we'll go ahead and stick with Apple, since everybody kind of seems the iPhone is the thing that everybody's interested in right now. Exactly the same way that the standard creator works, the mobile creator is simply going to set the screen resolution and the size, except that it won't do this up on my external screen. So let me just drop it on. Let me actually do it down here on my lower screen and bring it back up. HDMI is odd sometimes. Just a second here. So I'm going to simply double-click on a couple of those items, and you'll see it drops them into a slide the same way as the regular creator. The ability to go ahead and, in this case, I can also I'll go ahead and add an additional slide. Hit add. I'm going to add a new slide. Let's see if it'll let me put one of these in here. Okay, let me do that. So as you can see, having multiple slides, so as you swipe through those different slides in your iPhone, you'll actually be getting a multi-pane gadget right there. Again, keeping in mind the issues with parameters to make sure that you don't have a problem there. And then all you have to do is go ahead and save that out. I'll just drop this here on the desktop. Go ahead and drop it back in here. In this case, I'm dropping it right here on my system, but typically you'd save this into your mobile server, and on the mobile server, that serves it up directly to your device. So there's native clients available now in the Apple Store or on iTunes, as well as in the Google Play for Android and BlackBerry, where you can download those clients. You can install, you can allow it to use the sample data if you would like to. Once you have your ConnectSMART server, mobile server installed, you would simply give it the URL, and it will authenticate. You can control your authentication, and it will serve those gadgets up to you based on the information that you're looking for. So all of the different gadgets will work. That includes your personal productivity, so the ability for it to know who you are is now controlled on the server. So the administrator can say that this machine is this username, or you can authenticate with your Active Directory login information or through IIS to be able to have it associate your PSA user ID with the ID that you have available on your device to be able to pull your information for you to have at your fingertips, so that now when you're in the field monitoring what the health of your network, the health of your organization, or from a sales standpoint, demonstrating to your customers the information that you have on your fingertips, it's right there. And that's native, again, those are native applications to the device, not running through a web page. I'll point out as well the iPad. So the iPad version of the application is really exciting as well. And unfortunately, I was not able to put an emulator on here prior to this demonstration to be able to show it to you in action. But it is really cool, where you have the ability really to build your dashboard. So the same way that I can go in here and click things around and move them around, you actually have that same functionality on the iPad to be able to select individual gadgets that have been published out and put them together on your iPad as a dashboard. And drill down into it to see as you tap on there to drill down into those lists, drill down into other gadgets, and really have that full control like you would on a desktop right on your iPad. So it's pretty exciting. All right, so ran through all that stuff in right under 30 minutes as we had promised, and so I'm going to see if I can get this back into where I can allow people to talk here. So I'm going to go ahead and unmute, and it looks like, hold on one second. See if you can log this back in. I'm going to unmute everybody, but I have no control over the meeting at this point. Do you have meeting controls? All right, so now we may have a little bit of background. Everybody has now been unmuted. And do we have any questions to get started with? I apologize, we've lost the meeting control. We're going to go ahead and try to get that restarted. But any questions to get going with?
What is the name of iPhone app?
Power Gadgets Mobile. That was I was afraid of. Got somebody on hold. All right, so give me just a second here. I'm going to get back into, re-log into this meeting here. Not sure what happened.
You can't. That's correct. You cannot script anymore. You can't. I think he did something where he edited the query, the GUI.
All right. So we have a. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get everybody back. All right.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Okay, there we go. So I'm going to go ahead and mute everybody back, and I'll go ahead and go back through the questions here. Let me mute. All right, so we have some questions on parameters. Yes, on both on the iPhone, Android, and iPad app, you can change those parameters. Now, one thing that is really important on the parameters is if I go, let me actually just show you here. When you edit those parameters, you have the ability to change the kind of the prompt function for every one of those different parameters. So you can, the administrator or whoever is defining those gadgets can say whether or not those parameters can be changed. So either when they're launched, they can be, be prompted every time to select a parameter. They can be prompted the first time and it's saved, the default being optional where it'll use whatever you set and then someone can change it. Or you can make it read-only or never. So that gives you the ability to where at runtime, whether or not the end user, and this applies both to the mobile apps as well as to the desktop apps, whether or not they can change those parameters. So you may not want a salesperson to be able to change, their gross margin numbers that's looking to themselves. You don't want it to change to maybe somebody else on the team, but a manager, you may give them a version of the gadget where that's unlocked to where they can change it at will. All right. So one of the questions is, is the ability to run it in landscape? Yes, it runs in either landscape or portrait mode. One of the big things that we're doing of all the different parameters, each of the parameters is pre-built into the system. So the available things that are in there are, as far as that are available in the queries. There's also, for those who are using the developer edition, which is where people are want to use a script or want to write something in SQL or PowerShell, those you can define parameters, and those would be whatever you want to define as a parameter. And so in addition to that, we are documenting all of the different values of the parameters, and those are going into on the website. For those of you who've seen our new documentation site, where every single gadget and every single parameter and what those values are will be up there in the on that new site. All right. Billable utilization. There was a couple questions on some of the. Actually, I think I'm going the wrong way here. So version 3, let me just start from the top here. On system variables, on the technician, you have the ability to have the system variable by default of username. But in addition to that, as one of the questions was asked, let me just go to the regular item here. Actually, no, let me go to the new V3, sorry. Where did I go? Oh, I'll get the right one here in a sec. Yeah. All right. So let me not save this. If I go to the personal productivity, and we'll just grab like my tickets. So in the parameters, the username is going to use you'll see the ambient option there for username. You could change that here. You can also specify it. In addition, and this is one of the big issues that came up with mobile, previously, if you had a user ID that didn't match your ConnectWise or your TigerPaw or Kaseya IDs, actually Kaseya wasn't an issue, but TigerPaw and ConnectWise, then you would have to, you could put that on the workstation. Now that is a server-controlled functionality. So there's a user translation table that an administrator can control that will map a Windows login to a PSA login. So that's no longer the ability for the end user. In addition, you no longer have to worry about that getting lost since it is now server-controlled and server-based. That is one of the big things about the ConnectSMART V3 in general, is that the controls and the system is now server-based instead of the old version where your gadgets were talking directly to the ConnectWise or TigerPaw server. It talks to the ConnectSMART server. So that is a huge advantage in both the reliability of the system, the ease of deployment. New workstation can be rolled out literally in a matter of seconds. You have a couple of questions to answer. Put in your password and point it to a file or your serial number rather, and that's really it. Is when everything's been set up, very, very, very straightforward for those rollouts. And in addition, to actually answer that question from Jesse, the gadgets, if you allow the user to, you can see the default is never, so it's just hard-coded to use the username. You could make that optional to where an end user could change that to use a value, or you can actually put in a custom value, so just typing in a particular user ID that you want. So yeah, currently, the next question there was, do all of the gadgets share the same parameters? If the parameters have the same name. So where that usually becomes an issue, where the question comes up, is when you're looking at something in service where you have something like the average resolution time, and let's say something like the, trying to think here, maybe like tickets resolved by tech. So if I look at, or tickets over X hours actually is a really good example. So the parameters that we have for the average hours to resolution is going to be looking at what is the date, how far back are we going to go? So we're going to go back 1 day. Now the problem is tickets over 2 hours is also using a parameter of how many hours are we going to look at. So what's the count of tickets that have more than X number of time or X number of hours of time on it? So in this case, it's only one value called number, so that number of time units is -1 for how many days to go back, but the number of hours is also -1, so those are in conflict with each other. So we're working on the ability to have a global, kind of a global override on that. All right. Custom parameters on each gadget. The custom parameters only if you're doing a fully custom gadget, you can do a custom parameter. Otherwise, the parameters are predefined. All right. So there was some other questions about additional items for SLAs. So we do have the SLA. Basically, the items that we've added in for SLA are going to be the SLA average hours by tech, so that you can see the what's the average time to respond, average time to resolution, et cetera, by tech over a period of time. The SLA by status is the same as before. SLA compliance, so how well are you doing against your are you hitting 100% of your response time or 95%, et cetera. Then how you're doing on those against your goals by month. Those are the items that we have in there for SLAs, in addition to the the timing, the counts that we have. Service surveys was one of the questions that came up. We do not currently have any additional items for the surveys, so the survey information is the same as previous. So if you're not familiar with the ones that are in V3, we actually pulled them out because we just had the three: the customer satisfaction score, the satisfaction trend, and the averages, survey averages. And we're hoping to be able to have a couple additional items put in, but we don't want to delay the maintenance release any further and are able to get that out. Yeah, and and I think I mentioned this, but we can't add. You can add, if you're doing a custom gadget where you're writing the gadget yourself, you can use parameters and create custom parameters, but you can't add additional parameters that have not been defined in the gadget already. So if we're looking at my tickets by status, for example, so if you wanted to add in, let's say in this case priority is not a parameter, so you would not be able to add in priority to be available because it's in the back-end query logic. All right. So one of the questions, when will the maintenance release be available? We are hoping that that will be released to beta, or actually out of our beta into a customer beta next week. And there's a whole bunch of people, and it looks like Evan has mentioned out to a couple people there. Question on the mobile version as far as additional cost. So the additional cost of the mobile version is $100 a month. So it is using up your it uses CALs. It's using the same CAL functionality of what you already have with ConnectSMART. So if you have a 5 user or you have a 10 user, that's 10 CALs of ConnectSMART. Whether those are deployed on a workstation, which is using up a CAL license, or a mobile device. So those licenses will float back and forth. So you may, if you're rolling it out to a lot of people on workstations, then you would add in additional CALs, which is the same, like the 5 user being 125, going to the 10 user of ConnectSMART at 175, so that $50 spread for the additional 5 users. If you needed to add licenses, you would have that. Other than that, it's simply the $100 a month for the mobile server. One of the questions was the unhandled exception. As I clicked through on one, that there is a couple that had an unhandled exception. You can hit continue, and we're also hoping to have those resolved. I think there was 2 of those in the old version. On the first time in the creator, it doesn't have an issue on the doesn't have an issue at runtime, just there. All right. One of the questions was, do you have to rerun setup if you're changing things as far as service boards? No, all of your configuration can be done. The most that you would have to do typically, you can change their global variables, as we still have the ability to do global parameters the same way we did in the old versions. But if you wanted to change that, you would simply make a change to the global parameter and restart the ConnectSMART service. One good question. Mobile requires opening your ConnectWise server to the world. No, it does not. So this is a real application. The ConnectSMART mobile server leverages IIS and all of the proper securities for IIS, and we do have that in the documentation and the manuals on how to how to secure the URLs. This is actually through a URL, so your mobile will use that particular URL. In addition, since the ConnectSMART server is now as a separate server, if you're using this on a desktop remotely, you're not required to open up a lot of dangerous things like with the old version. You'd have to have SQL access, or most people just do a VPN back to the system. You simply need to have port 8089 available for the desktop version to communicate with ConnectSMART. So it's no VPN is required. So it's much better. And again, the mobile version uses IIS. The app in Google Play is called Power Gadgets Mobile. So if you're looking for that. This is a good question. Ruben had, is there a way a Gadget can tell me what ticket a tech is currently working on? No, there is not. Unfortunately, because of the way that ConnectWise works, ConnectWise itself doesn't know what ticket somebody is working on because of it's kind of being stateless. So what we do, the way that we do that. Oh, and somebody was answering that as well. We use the same thing that Jesse mentioned there about the what's in progress. And the way that we make sure that our in progress status is accurate is an engineer cannot put any time or do anything on a ticket unless it is marked as in progress. So the in progress status is the only status they can put time in. And then we have workflows that are, if time is not being put in, then it will flip it to a done yet status, which nobody wants to get a ticket in a done yet status because that's a problematic status which starts to affect bonus very quickly. Tony had a question about the V3 release being free with anyone with a current subscription. If you're a customer who is current on maintenance on the old V2X model, yes, that is included through the end of the year. So you can contact our support, but all you need to do if you're a current customer is simply sign up for the free Essentials version. We do have a free version which gives you a single user to use. You get all the gadgets for a month, and then it knocks it down to a limited version of about 13 different gadgets that you can use with a single user, or the paid versions, which go from the silver at $40 a month to the gold at $125, which just gives you everything. And so, yes, that would be covered under there. Again, current customers on the old version of ConnectSMART, if you're current on your maintenance, go ahead and sign up for free Essentials, and we'll update you on the back end. All right. That hits a couple of those. Ethan also had a good question on custom gadgets. The maintenance release, and actually the very latest, we have an interim release, which does support your custom gadgets. So you do have the ability. In addition, you also get, since you're a current customer, current on maintenance, you will get the Developer Edition, which is the element that's required for doing native, SQL or PowerShell completely on the fly elements. All right. Another question about ConnectWise in the cloud. At this point, no. ConnectSMART or ConnectWise is making some API changes. A lot of the information that we're pulling, one of the reasons that a lot of people come to ConnectSMART is it's not just displaying information that's in ConnectWise, but it's recalculating it into a place that is it's recalculating in a way that's not available in ConnectWise. So until there's the ability for us to really be able to manipulate the data in the cloud, then no, that's not available on the cloud side. Joe had a question on tickets missing data. You can change the fields right there in the parameter, the missing fields. You can have those just typed in, or you can change that as a global if you want to have it, globally updated. That's in the on the parameters on the server itself. Let's see here. A question about the tickets per device per user. There is currently not. We are working on a set of gadgets that will not be in this maintenance release. Our next target is we will have a Kaseya version coming out in May at the Kaseya conference. So if you're a ConnectWise or TigerPaw user and use Kaseya as your RMM tool, that'll be something I think you'll be very interested in. Or if you're just a Kaseya user who uses the Kaseya elements for both the RMM as well as the PSA portion, that'll be taken care of there as well. But I believe that's coming from the tickets per device per user and some of those other elements that are very popular with guys like Gary Pika. That is something that we are looking at as far as adding in a True Methods and some of those other consultants' preferences of a gadget pack for those people. Paid time off. I'll have to double check where the what the status is if the paid time off makes it in there. Just make a note. One of the questions was, is there a approaching SLA warning? We have on the ConnectSMART gadgets that are talking about the response time, or the SLA by status is really one of the best ones for giving you a warning flag of the tickets approaching that particular threshold. So you can set the thresholds for the different SLAs to be able to say, color code them based on a particular threshold. So within 75% it's green, within 80% it's yellow, 90% it's orange, and then once it's blown SLA it's red. And that's the SLA by status gadget. And yeah, it looks like Joshua had asked about excluding ticket types. So yes, you can in the new version. Yes, we still do custom development as well. On ConnectWise Mobile, there was a question somebody had there about is ConnectWise getting the money for mobile, or are we? That is not the ConnectSMART Mobile doesn't actually have anything to do with ConnectWise. That is a mobile app which is native to the iPhone or the different devices as a Power Gadgets and ConnectSMART application that's pulling the data directly from your ConnectWise system through the mobile server, not having anything to do with ConnectWise. The mobile app will also be available for TigerPaw as well as for Kaseya. So one of the questions, billable utilization by member by week was not working properly. Yes, that should be fixed in the new version. Let's see here. The Tom McBath question on SLA by status by tech. Let's have a chat about that offline. I'm not quite sure I catch you there, and I'm just about out of time, so I wanted to make sure we hit anything else here. So Jesse, you had a specific question about how quoting happens on tickets by status and being able how it pipes it into the SQL statement. I realize that may be a little bit more technical than some of the people on the call, but the answer to that is yes, you can. So great example or great question about specific examples about how ConnectSMART increases productivity. So here's the way that most people are going to go about their day for ConnectWise. So they're going to go into their service board. Let's change this here. They're going to select service, so the dispatch person is going to come in here, and they're going to look at all their tickets that they have. Let's fix that. And this is actually pretty typical. So we're going to go over here, and I'm going to try to get the right thing on the service board. I'm going to have that load, and I'm going to say, okay, well, I don't really care about those. Let me just look at this service board. They're going to let that load. And come on. And then they're going to go ahead and let's look at this by the service status, and let's go ahead and look at these things. Let's find anything. Yep, these are all completed, so I don't care about those. We've got 2 pages of these. So I'm going to scroll down through here. And I'm not trying to make this complicated. I'm just, kind of walking through here. Okay, these are in progress. Looks like somebody's working on it. Let's see, everything, looks like everything has been assigned. So you're going to do a lot of clicking around, just like I'm doing here. And again, I'm not trying to make a point of anything. This happens with any application. You're going to go into look at different service statuses. You're going to filter it by different things to be able to find out what's the next thing that you should be working on. Well, in our company, the most important thing that I care about is going to be, first off, did a customer respond to something? So if a customer has responded to it, that's the first thing that I want to deal with, and I want all of our staff to be dealing with. So when the technicians are looking at their dashboard of the things that they have that they're supposed to be working on, let me just flip this over here. Out of the way. Get this out. All right, so the first thing that we're going to care about is the customer response. So that's the very first thing that's going to happen is double-click on the customer response, and we can see that there's Nick out of Australia. Larry Gray has a follow-up. So these are the most important things that I want to hit to answer those questions first. So clicking on that takes me to those tickets to respond to it. The next thing is anywhere that I have set as a follow-up that I need to handle. So again, I'm not going to go into my PSA application and scroll around or look under my tickets and cherry pick. I'm simply going to double click on that number to take me to the first ticket, which in this case is Leaf. That's interesting. I'll have to follow up with Leaf and see what he needs to take care of. So the next thing is, what are my tickets that are due today? Again, double click on it to take me to that. Now I'm going to make sure I've got tickets that I have not acknowledged. So if somebody's added me to a ticket or a ticket has been automatically generated or updated that I haven't seen, I need to go deal with that. I have 7 activities, so 7 different things that need to happen that are still open today before I can call it a day and go home. In addition, I'm the dunce here with the oldest ticket that's sitting on our app dev board that hasn't been updated, and that was sitting out there since January 27th of 2012. So I know that once I deal with that ticket, then that'll take the dunce cap and hand that over to Evan. But really, my entire day is driven by what is on my dashboard, not from me cherry picking what's happening in the different applications. So it gives the visibility for people to have that access. So that's really, I think, the kind of the proof in the proof of how you can change the entire way that you're operating your service desk, how you're providing service, is by driving the activity with your business process being put into the gadgets to deal with. All right, that was a long version of that. Hope I answered your question there, Maury. And let's see. So I'm going to go ahead and unmute this for just a second to see if there's any other questions. So if there's any final things that anyone has, maybe I will go ahead. Yeah, so somebody got everybody on hold. So if you want to unmute yourself, you can hit *6 to unmute yourself for the last couple minutes if you have any direct questions here that we didn't have a chance to deal with. Brad, gadget packages in silver, that's a pick your package. So we're adding in an additional service package with the new things that are coming with V3 and adding some to some of the existing packages as well. But those are available up on the website at ConnectSMART.com to where you can pick which package you want. And each package is, for the 5 users, $40. So if you want 2 or 3 packages, go ahead and get a couple of them. All right. So
hey,
I'm going to go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
This is Joe Popper. I got a question for you. You answered the question,
hey, Joe.
sort of. The thing that we're struggling with is customizing the gadget. So, and the problem is there's an assumption that you know how to do it, so you say, well, just do these few things, and I don't have enough information to actually do that. So like I was specifically asking, on the gadget about where the ticket's missing data, if we want to add fields, could you walk us through that process so we can see that? Or another example so we know how to make customizations?
Yep. So, and that is one of the things that we found is an assumption that we're fixing in the new version, in that we are documenting every single option of the gadgets. So this is the version that you're on. Go ahead.
Well, the feedback is like some of the fields have numbers in them. What do the numbers mean? That documentation helps immensely because we don't know what values we ought to be putting in these fields to get the appropriate results we need.
Absolutely. So yes, that's exactly what we're doing is we're documenting and screenshotting every single one, even though it's redundant. So you'll see. I don't know if Evan has it up online yet. If it's not published yet, where we're putting a screenshot of every gadget, a screenshot of what the parameters are, what those parameters mean, and what all the options are that you can change it to. So in the specific case of the missing data, so this one has what's called a config key. So the config keys are, that's a global controlled element. So that's on the server in your server config file, which I can talk to you offline on, and you'll see it in the documentation as well, where you can specify what those items are. In addition, you could type in any of the field names, in this case the actual field names that are in ConnectWise, in just a string list, to be able to say the email, phone, so email, phone. I can't spell, but you get the idea there. And we'll have that completely documented. We do have that up on the forum, but I know that's not the best place for people to access that necessarily. So that'll be in the documentation itself. All right. Any other questions? Phil had a question on customizing. Hold out for 1 second. I'll just hit this question on videos for customizing. We do have a new YouTube channel that we've expanded since the old version, or we had the ConnectWiser, but we now have on YouTube, youtube.com/ConnectSMART-TV, all one word, and we have a variety of videos up there for you to access. And some of those do go specifically into changing parameters, changing the look and feel, etc. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, it was just a real silly question. A little confused here. I believe I thought I had installed 3.0, but go to the help about power gadgets. It shows me at 2.0. Is that
2.0? Yeah,
that's correct.
So
okay.
Yeah. So let me. There's two elements to this. That's actually a good question. This comes up a lot, which is the Power Gadgets creator itself is an element. This is 2.0 of Power Gadgets, and that is an element of ConnectSMART version 3. So you can buy Power Gadgets itself without having all of the ConnectSMART elements for about, I think it's $1,200 and then $700 and something now a year for support. So about $2,000 to buy just the tool itself, which simply gives you the ability to create a custom, say you want to create an item and you want to go and do it kind of the old way of, connect it to PowerShell, a SQL database, or use a web service to manually create an element where you're typing in SQL or creating scripts. So what we've done is we've taken Power Gadgets 2.0 and we've added in the functionality with an OEM agreement to add in all of the functionality for the ConnectSMART server itself, which handles the connection to ConnectWise, TigerPaw, and Kaseya, to be able to expand that out pretty extensively. And so that is the Power Gadgets client is 2.0, but it's a part of ConnectSMART version 3. So hope that answers your question there.
That does. Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you very much.
All righty. Well, thank you everybody for being a part of this webinar. Any questions, most of any pricing questions and things that you've got can be seen right on the website at ConnectSMART.com. And feel free to give us a call if you need anything that's not answered there. And we'll look forward to, we'll be pushing out information on the maintenance release and mobile coming out very soon. So thank you very much, and hope everyone has a great day.